Chat, here we go. It's Moxy versus Diaz in the grand final of the madness. Diaz working his way through as the 1 seed in the West, and Moxy, the 2 seed out of the East, as he was able to make it past Nas. He said that this game mode favors him, like it was made for him. But when he last played Diaz, Diaz had the edge. Diaz, in fact, has had the edge against just about everybody, now that I think about it. I'm sure if I went back and look at his history, I think he had recent losses to Wavy, which he redeemed in his process of making it to the grand final here, and recent losses to Jorias, who he's not going to have to play against, as Moxy goes to the ceiling and uses that reset for his first goal. Thank you, Machine 2800 and Fatal Tugboats for the Prime. Appreciate you. As Moxy gets to play off of the run of a couple wins, or I should say actually just 1 win today, as he was able to advance due to an unfortunate forfeit in the semifinal. Diaz playing fresh, but also not having had to play a very stressful East final. So it could favor him. Diaz hanging out in this orange corner in an attempt to stay on offense here. Gets a demo. Can he find a way to score it quickly? Has a resets and lands wave dash. Oh, Moxy, great coverage to not allow that to 50 in. It's rolled into the back corner of Diaz, who is doing his best to gain control and the ability to dodge Moxy, not get bumped ever, and get a possession of his own and convert it for a crossbar down flick. That is a great possession from Diaz. And he held that possession everywhere on the field before the final goal. Chat has been loving the Kachow goal explosion that Diaz has been using throughout the whole tournament. Moxy pre-jumping the air dribble. Diaz, one of the best, if not the best, air dribble attacker in the ones game right now. Moxy has always been the best, if not one of the best. Or one of the best, if not the best, ground attackers. So an interesting clash of styles as Moxy gets a little bump, and that's enough to create the window for the goal. Oh yes, some people who are especially just tuning in are going to be wondering about the ping. 88 ping for Diaz and 92 for Moxy, so a pretty darn equal server here over on US East. Of course, Diaz a little bit more used to playing on this US East than Moxy is, who obviously can get away with just playing Europe exclusively, as both US East and European queuers usually can. They never have to reach out into other servers, whereas Diaz is very used to having to reach out into US East in order to get games. Diaz scoring his kickoff and bringing him back within 1. I think so far 2 goals is our biggest lead. As Moxy been given a ton of space here. Diaz completely leaving the play and allowing Moxy to get the ball on top of his car and go for a carry. I'm not sure that that's the right play against a guy like Moxy. Moxy can be tough to deal with in those low boosts, you know, scrums for the ball as well, but I think you're in even worse trouble if you leave and allow him to get the ball into a carry. He has just done that same play so many times in his 1v1 career against every sort of defense. Diaz left and actually tried to close the distance afterwards. Did a decent job of that this time, as he will snag the midfield boost to force Moxy to fully retreat. And that flick, I don't think had the power he was hoping it would, as Moxy now should have a boost spawn here on the side wall, flying into the ceiling. Diaz falling off the ceiling to challenge. Not only does he get the save, but he gets it out over the top of Moxy and probably has a possession of his own. Dodges the Moxy demo. Pops this ball up. Can he finish it? He does. Man, Diaz. He is dancing around Moxy right now. And Moxy was playing on 0 boost. Took a slight trip out to the corner. That was enough for Moxy to get caught out of position. I think even if he stayed and tried to get back with 0, though, he'd probably still in trouble. Diaz into the air dribble. 50 on the goal line. off the post and towards the nets, as Moxy going to waste a bit of time, but not too much, as he goes up 2. Moxy, air dribble bump, does not connect. Diaz, can he recover and make the save? He can. He'll be within 1. We saw previously Nas going to the standard kickoff a ton, even against Moxy's wave dash, and earned himself a ton of possessions. Diaz did the same here, got himself a possession but couldn't score on it, as Moxy able to make the save and counter to extend the lead back to 2. Match standard. Diaz trying to pre-flip on the ball. Moxy does a good job to pop the ball high, put it out of Diaz's control, and get the midfield boost. He has a reset, probably to get a dash, but decides not to use it. Diaz couldn't get to the ceiling, but it's fine because Moxy doesn't put it on target. It looked like he was trying to get a reset off the ceiling to potentially use for a flip to make a save. Oh, Diaz just slightly off target on his air dribble. Could that be a sign? That is Diaz's main form of attack, and when he's on point, he's impossible to play against. But if he's making some unforced miss, might leave a chance for Moxy to stay in the game. Apparently Moxy is more than just in the game. He's up 2. Diaz pushes this one to the back wall. Moxy, air dribble over the top of Diaz. Can he dunk it down? Unable to get it on target. Will reset his possession. Diaz turning into a shadow. Does reverse challenge. Seemed like he creeped pretty far away from the ball. I'm not sure he's going to be able to get away with returning to the play in reverse. But manages to do so, and now Diaz off the side wall. Playing it somewhat passive on this dribble. Steals the boost, heads back to the skies again. Moxy is still low on boost as Diaz gets the reset, puts it directly into Moxy. We know Diaz can take those down for wave dash shots as well. He doesn't do it this time, as Moxy able to survive this attack. Diaz powers through the bump and dashes to recover quickly. Now has another dribble. Moxy off the ceiling. Diaz aiming at left post and actually just plays it to top left. I thought he might change up the angle and try and score on the side of the net that Moxy seemed to be leaving open, but no, he saw a way to sneak it in over the top. He knew that Moxy was defending on the ground, and you have a really tough time, if not impossible, to cover that top corner when defending from the ground. You almost always have to transition to the back wall to make it work. Moxy, a flick to his preferred location. Diaz has the save and the counterattack. 7-7. 14 minutes left to go. Diaz on the back wall. Full field dribble. Talk about Moxy's specialty. That has been Diaz's specialty recently. But he actually hasn't done a great job at scoring on Moxy with it. And Moxy even denying this one and covering quicker off the back wall to retake the lead. Moxy missed one of the pads on the kickoff, and I think that's why he's just going to get scored on. Not only does that probably indicate he got an awkward setup, it also means he doesn't have some of the essential boosts. Diaz forcing this into the corner and is able to steal the back corner boost despite Moxy having the wave dash recovery. Diaz We saw him on the east side, or sorry, on the west side of the bracket, doing a ton of this time wasting. I mean, against every opponent, he seemed very unconcerned with scoring and was more than willing to just hold on to the ball. I think we saw Drally do that in a game that we didn't cover, but I think Johnny covered over in his matchup. Drally probably did it to an even bigger extent from what I could tell, as Moxy placing this one in the top right corner. That near post top corner can be hard to defend, like we talked about, from that grounded defender. So Diaz can't keep it out. So he forces another kickoff into the orange corner. This time he doesn't win out in the race to the boost, but he does still approach the corner all the same. He tried to get a little bit of speed and turn back and challenge. Moxy will take advantage of that low boost challenge and put himself up 2. Diaz wall dashing. Moxy able to escape. And look at the camera adjustment from Moxy on this dribble. It might have thrown him off, though, because he decides not to do anything in the air. I think he was trying to check to see what Diaz was up to. Now Moxy on the respawn just dives straight at the ball. The way this game has been going, we've been seeing a 2-goal lead for Moxy, but never more. Can Diaz prevent Moxy from going up? Moxy tried to pin it perfectly inside the left post, and instead got the post and it fell out. Now he's trying to get a tight angle. Diaz, what a save! I think Moxy did actually sneak it in, but Diaz had an amazing recovery, and this is Moxy's favorite thing to do. Diaz needs to watch out for it. A shot attempt followed up with a demo. Moxy is going to chase you down if you play too slow. And the fake kickoff gets red immediately, though. So even though he extends it to 3, Diaz erases that 3-goal lead and puts it back to 2. This is where we've been playing the majority of the time from. Moxy trying to flick top left, slightly off target. Diaz being given a gift that Moxy doesn't often give. Moxy found his way back. So now Diaz, this will be a sign of what's to come. Diaz scores these, it feels like, almost every time. How many resets do you want? He'll give you as many as are possible. But it does get saved, and he starts again after another boost steal. This time down to the ground, puts it near post, and gets the 10th. So Diaz is feeling it today if he's able to get to his triple reset and then eventually score. Even though he didn't score on the first one, the follow-up is still his. Moxy able to avoid contact with Diaz in his back corner. Diaz, a soft touch just to buy him a bit more time. You see him picking up pads on the retreats. Moxy tried the fake. Diaz actually covered it well and will pre-flip to clear the ball, but it will just be another Moxy possession. As Diaz rotates back to the corner. He closes some of that distance and now is actually trying to get rid of it. But actually, a great play from Diaz. Getting so close got him to flick the ball early. Now the question is, can he recover and stop Moxy from his favorite attack? Moxy very unconcerned with scoring on the first attempt. He is more than willing to get the demo and score later. So you have to be careful in the way you make your saves. Chat is spamming F. I don't know if they're saying that for a player or for their internet. You might need to, I mean, on my end, everything is fine. Twitch could be effing as Diaz actually just scores off this dribble. Moxy, I thought, was going to be able to make the save, but Diaz recognizing Moxy swinging in from too far out. So just playing quickly within another tap will do it, as opposed to going for a late reset, which does slow the ball down slightly. Diaz, kickoff win. Can he tie the game back up? This shot does force a save out of Moxy, who lands clean on the back wall, dashing to get some momentum. Diaz stops it as he reaches the ground, though. Puts this one high, trying to pin it into the top shelf. Can he do it? I think that's wide. Diaz, he gets there eventually. He wants to get a touch off of every part of the frame first, and after he does, he'll get his goal. Moxy was just sitting there waiting. Thought for sure the ball would eventually fall to his control. He didn't think Diaz had an angle. And he probably thought that for good reason. It took Diaz a bounce off the right post before he eventually got his goal. Are we going to have a tie game at halftime? There it is. 10 minutes left. 12-12. Perfectly tied. Does seem like that. Oh, might change, but might not as Diaz recovers and gets a demo. And now Diaz, how many resets does he want? Do you want? He asks chat. That's normally the way he takes these dribbles, but he does just go one. Just one reset as he travels the whole field. To be fair, often those full field dribbles do end that way. It's really the resets out of the corner, or the air dribbles out of the corner, that seem to have just about infinite, specifically the attacking corner. Diaz, can he get this angle? He can, of course. It's whether or not Moxy can save it. And Moxy saves the first, but not the second. So Diaz pulling away a little bit. 14-12. It's been a while since he's seen the lead. Another standard kickoff to Moxy's wave dash. Diaz tried to get a cheeky quick shot. Didn't connect on it, but his recovery gets in the midfield boost and then the demo. He's not going to play this off the side wall, which is a very interesting decision. And a clear mix-up from Diaz from the way he was playing this earlier. He doesn't seem to like his full field dribbles like he does against just about everybody else. He undercut Moxy. It looked like Moxy had a runaway goal. But Diaz just barely got there. And is he going to be able to make the save? Oh my goodness, I'm glad we stuck on Diaz's perspective that whole way. He was in big trouble. But he backflips perfectly on the spot to make the save. Moxy eventually gets his goal. Diaz survives for a long time, but that 50 wasn't going to cut it. And even though he tried to pre-flip to the ball to get there as quick as possible, it didn't matter. Moxy stealing resets. This one falls to the ground as Diaz will be able to get a counterattack goal. Moxy has to be more careful with how he attacks through the air. We saw him open up the game, I believe, with a sidewall dribble that came off the ceiling. But that one certainly was not it. Kickoff win. And just recognized Diaz had creeped out and was not available for a quick shot. So just side flips into the ball and sends it soaring into the top right. Moxy taking what I call, semi-timeouts, or what I think of as semi-timeouts. Not sure I mentioned it, but watching the full replay, I think we've seen a lot more players do that in these 20-minute best-of-ones than we do in regular matches. Players are normally insta-skipping every single goal, no matter what. But Moxy took a breather there as he watched the entirety of the goal and seemed to pay off as he's now tied the game. Timeout from Wish. Yeah. Yeah, the timeout from wish.com, which is where you just don't skip the replay. Diaz had a great opportunity. That's why Moxy felt forced up in the air to take it away, but now he's going to have to defend on very little boost. Diaz just gives it one more tap. He notices Moxy's going to have to come off the back wall and look to challenge. Previously, Diaz was going for resets here, and Moxy was doing a decent job at stopping it. So Diaz, even giving it just that little bit more is enough. Moxy, side flip, saved by Diaz. Diaz taking a creep out to the midfield. Is he going to be able to get away with it? Yes, he is! I can't believe it. Moxy wasn't able to score. He didn't play it as clean as he could have. And Diaz found a way to pinch it off the post. Moxy on the counterattack, playing with 36 boost. I mean, he was probably just annoyed that he didn't score. And Diaz returns to up 2. Moxy, a follow-up kickoff. And he's again taking his timeout from wish.com as he watches the entire replay. Moxy sees Diaz playing aggressive. The bounce. This time, Moxy makes sure of it and lets the ball bounce clean off the wall before forcing it in. Yet to see any messages from either one of these guys. We are approaching timeout territory in which players do use their actual real timeouts. So far, Moxy's goal replay timeouts have actually seemed to go well for him, just taking a breather, and the follow-up play has always been good for him. Diaz still insta-skipping everything. Diaz, tried to place it top left, got crossbar and couldn't follow it up. Moxy will not take the wall to air dribble. Diaz will not close the distance, he does now. This is what I'm talking about here with Moxy. I think he would benefit from accepting those wall to air dribbles a bit more often, or at least labbing them, because it's really hard nowadays to bring the ball down to the ground and get a clean possession. Now he does eventually score either way, so maybe he knows what he's doing. He's the guy who's played a cajillion hours of 1v1. But I do think doing that could be a result of playing against players you're much better than. You don't feel as forced to take every opportunity. You can kind of back off and feel comfortable you'll eventually get the win. But Diaz is a guy who is very talented. It's a 3-goal lead for Moxy. One of the biggest leads we've seen in the entire series, and it's with 6 minutes and 15 seconds left to go. As Moxy watching that replay as well. Diaz not going to take any timeouts. The only time I think I've seen Diaz take a timeout was up 2 with 8 seconds left to go, something like that. And that almost didn't pay off for him. Power shot on the ground. He's going to pinch this off the wall and force Moxy to deal with it on the back wall, which can be tough. The camera check from Diaz as he flips to make sure the ball cam doesn't pull his vision of Moxy away. But now he thought he could stay on ball, and he can't, because Moxy is going to be quicker. 4-goal lead. Diaz still insta-skipping. Still not looking for any timeout help. Wants to try and bring it back in the moments. Dodging the Moxy bump. Now Moxy thought he could get away with leaving this ball, but thought wrong. Diaz able to pick up the midfield. Just couldn't decide whether or not he was making a play on the ball or retreating to net quick enough. So could this be the beginning of a run for Diaz? It needs to be if he wants to bring it back. Hook shots on the kickoff, saved by Moxy. It should be boost for Diaz. I believe he got it, and he gets the demo. So he'll reset from his own half. And this is a confident Diaz that I like to see. This is when Diaz is playing his best 1v1, when he gets up in the air at every moment he can, but he misses just barely off the post. And will that be the story of the game? Moxy flick high. Is it easier to play Moxy's game when you're 15 minutes into a 1v1 than it is to play Diaz's game? That could be the difference maker. Diaz. Demo and a goal. There is still a ton of time. We are now within the final 5 minutes. The 1v1s that people are used to watching. The time zone in which people will come into chat and say, why do they have 19 and 22 goals? Even in regular 1v1s, 3 goals, it's very easily come back from. Diaz has himself a decent position here. Maybe not the power he wanted on the flick, but he will get a boost steal. Not going to allow Moxy to hook shot on 0 boost across the whole field. You can see him turn away and protect against that. Now Diaz on the air dribble. Goes low. Ka-chow indeed. A much-needed ka-chow as he returns the lead to 2 and recognizes that Moxy defending high would not be able to make the save low. Diaz single jumping, worried about the potential Moxy challenge. Moxy does leave. Diaz doesn't full commit. Able to land and dash. He's going to try and convert this. No, he's just going to tap it back to Moxy. So will Moxy start to play his advantage at all? Could not pinch this one in after the low 50, and he flips over the top of Diaz and gets the boost. So Diaz on 0 now. Although he got a decent clear, Moxy's probably going to power slide cut and put it right back on target so as to not allow Diaz to get any sort of recovery boost and then eventually score. Diaz could not get all the way out to the midfield to challenge early, and he also couldn't get out to the corner to grab 100, so he's just left in no man's land due to smart play from Moxy. Diaz chaining some dashes together, and he got the angle! Look at this shot from Diaz. We're going to stay on Diaz's perspective again. He had 100 boost to work with, but why not chain a couple dashes in order to get this shot? Moxy maybe didn't even expect it to be scoreable from that position. Just drove away from the play. It was going down to the ground. Diaz off the side wall. Not the best first touch, but it's Diaz we're talking about. He should have no trouble bringing it back. The question is, can he recover quick enough? Inside the nets, pre-flipping. As he rolled out, it's not going to matter. Moxy still gets the ball on target in time. Diaz jump over the top. This 3-goal lead, as we mentioned before, not the end of the world, but it's going to have to be figured out soon as Diaz gives Moxy a little taste of his own medicine, but instead of a flick to the top left, it's a flick to the top right, but it's a boomer of a flick, 104 kilometer per hour. Diaz needs a couple kickoffs in a row, it feels like, to truly equalize this game. They cannot keep trading goals. That will eventually lead to a Moxy win. Diaz trying to hold on to his boost, got undercut, should be able to recover, but decides to play on the goal line instead of attacking. Moxy early gets around the air dribble bump. And now we'll attack back the other way on the ground. Flick over the top of Moxy, playing a little bit of his own game. He just scored a top right flick on him earlier, and now just playing him on a bounce dribble. Some classic ones. He's got himself within 1. Kickoff win for Diaz again into his favorite spot, but this is a huge change of pace for Diaz. Not going up the side wall in a situation like this is a mentality switch up and a game plan switch up from Diaz. No longer is he relying on his aerial gameplay when he's 17 minutes into the 1v1. He has met Moxy here on the ground, and he has met him in the scoreline as well, tying it up 24-24. Diaz undercutting Moxy, didn't connect. So he'll reset on the midfield 100, and Moxy will get to attack from his favorite position. Tried to flick top left. Diaz recovers quickly and actually ends the possession for Moxy as well, something I was not expecting to see. And flicked it past Moxy. I shouldn't really say flicked it, but he accelerated it past Moxy. As Moxy, with boost, is just close shadowing. He's eventually expecting to be able to get the ball, and right at the right moment, when Moxy turned away, Diaz accelerates it and takes the lead. Fake kickoff for Diaz. He wants to stay one step ahead. Will he go to his full field air dribbles? It's a complete switch up from Diaz to not take that here. Instead, baits Moxy in and then tries to play a ground dribble over the top of him. Moxy defends that. He's out of boost now, but it's not going to matter. His flick had the power. And he ties it up. 25-25. Still no timeouts. Both available for these guys as Diaz gets an immediate kickoff. Did Moxy go wave dash? Yes, he did. Wave dash to Diaz's standard. Diaz has done well against Moxy's wave dash kickoff. When he goes standard, he's going to do it again. Moxy gets forced into the orange half. Oh, what placement from Diaz! Moxy guiding along the back wall in front of the net. Thought he was covering the angle for Diaz to get a cheeky early shot, but he managed to put it all the way into the top left corner, just past Moxy. And he will take the 2-goal lead under 2 minutes. Diaz, can he get a third? Moxy sends it into the ceiling. Again, into the crossbar. Diaz, he missed! I didn't watch it from Diaz's perspective, but that felt like it should have been a goal. But the final one, he sent too high. And Moxy was not responsible for it, missing. Diaz will attack in the air this time. Not going to play the full field ground dribble, but playing it way safer than he might have otherwise done, as he just lets Moxy challenge and recovers instead. Diaz, will he play this one off the wall? I expect him to hold a lot of boost no matter what he does. No, he just takes it straight at the top of the net. Maybe Moxy was thinking like I was thinking, that no way Diaz takes the risk and plays high here late at the game. So he thought he could go for a low 50 save and stayed grounded. Diaz hits the reset and gets a 3-goal lead. Wave dash kickoff for Moxy. Keeps him alive here. Under a minute left to go. Did Diaz go standard on this? He did. This one went Moxy's way, though. Delayed kickoff from Diaz. We saw him mix it up earlier as he attempted to stay one step ahead. Has to jump off the wall to dodge the Moxy bump, and he's going to take this back into his half. A little bit of time wasting from Diaz. And now starting a dribble from the back wall. Moxy is not forcing the issue. Diaz did not control his possession very well, and that did not pay off. Diaz trying to be cheeky. Ended up just bringing the ball to Moxy, and that flip was the mistake. Flipping out past the ball, not protecting the net. And now he's within one. Moxy is, that is. As Diaz not going to get control off this possession with 30 seconds left to go. Moxy gets backflip challenged. Diaz will pinch this out to the midfield. Moxy's going to have the faster recovery, and he will put it on target with 20 seconds. And it's a timeout. Moxy calls it before the ball is even in. He wants to pause here on this booming shot. 17 seconds left to go. He needs a breather after tying it up. Moxy, a 2-minute timeout. We are tied at 17-17. No timeouts had been used so far, so Diaz still has his. These guys get a 2-minute breather, as it seems like we may have overtime in our final Madness 1v1. We've seen Moxy sticking with the wave dash kickoff a ton. Diaz has actually had the majority of the wins, matching it with his standard kickoff. But the most recent that we can think of was a Moxy win. Diaz, I think, is going to benefit from this timeout too. He had the lead, and he was very clearly starting to play the momentum and try and just hold on to the lead instead of extending it. Didn't work out for him. The nerves may be getting to him. He gets the reset here in this final minute of timeouts. Technically, we've been allowing card changes. I don't think we're going to see a card change from these guys. Probably too locked in to even be thinking about that right now, as they decide what to do next, how to try and win out in this final game. Will they go all in, looking to win without overtime? Will they play passive in an attempt to get one more opportunity in a long overtime? We'll have to see. They have about 30 seconds left in the timeouts. Are you guys ready? Once these guys say they're ready to go, we will bring them back into the game. And they are both ready. So we unpause, watch the end of this previous goal. And it is 28. 17 seconds left to go, and we get a slight offset kickoff. Moxy Back to his wave dash. Diaz to the standard. Something we've seen a million times so far in this game. Diaz not able to get the boost. Moxy long shot. Should be recovered. Oh, it's off target. I actually don't think Diaz would have been able to get back. Moxy trying to stay on ball. Wait, he doesn't have boost to work with. Diaz pops this ball high. Moxy on very little. Diaz on target. It's in! A 0-second goal. There will be no overtime in the Madness Grand Final. Moxy had the ball in the blue half, and he stayed aggressive. And maybe was wrong to do so, as Diaz takes it the length of the field and gets the 0-second win. The West takes down the East in the Grand Final. Diaz is your Madness victor. What a match. Listen, I'll be honest. I was maybe wanting a little spicy overtime in our 20-minute match for the Grand Final. But hey, a 0-seconder works just as well. Jeez. What a tournament.